Well, welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf and Brian Burke. We also have Peter Lagarias, an attorney who specializes in franchisees specifically, in the studio with us. Here is the first trivia question. Name the only sport where the defense controls the ball. All right, who knows that?
I'm an auto racing fan. You got me.
Peter?
I give up.
Mark?
It's rugby?
No.
I'm just guessing. I don't know.
Baseball. The defense controls the ball. Not bad.
Yeah.
All right. Brian, you were going to ask Peter a great question about franchises.
Well, we were just talking about the pitfalls of franchising, and as a longtime business owner myself, I know one of the things I really enjoy by owning a business is I have a lot of freedom. I'm calling the shots, I'm making the decisions as to what's going on, and it seems to me that in a franchise, one of the pitfalls would be giving up some of that control and that autonomy. Is that right?
That's quite correct. Franchising uses a trademark, and the franchisor wants everybody in the system to be providing the same products with the same quality. And in order to do that, they have a lot of controls built in.
But the pricing can be different, though, right?
In most franchise systems, pricing is not controlled, although there can be maximum prices probably controlled. But to go back to this point about control, if you are in a franchise business that's selling sandwiches and you're not making a good living and you want to add coffee and yogurt into your menu, you have to go to your franchisor to get permission to change your menu. And when you think about it, a major food franchisor is not going to want someone selling used furniture in the back of their store. They want the system to look the same.
Well, even in that example, though, I mean, even let's say the yogurt, if somebody ends up buying a lot more yogurt and less sandwiches, and they're not getting a piece of the action, the franchisor.
Well, most franchise agreements have a requirement that a certain percentage of all gross sales be paid to the franchisor as a royalty. So whatever you sell, and the agreement sets forth these terms, they're going to take a percentage of that. But what are you getting? Well, you're getting a name, and in many cases,
instant customer recognition.
Instant customer recognition, not always, but in many systems, and you're getting the ability to engage in national advertising if it's a large enough system, which you could never do if you were starting your own business.
Yeah, how does that work with the national advertising? Is it just part of the franchisee's percentage of gross, like they take a little piece of that and that goes for the national?
They're writing more checks.
Typically, a franchise agreement will require that the franchisee, in addition to the royalty, pay an advertising fee. And again, it's a percentage. Each franchise system can set their own. A typical franchise would have a 4 or 5% royalty and a 1 or 2% advertising fee. Some of them have multiple advertising fees. They have a national advertising program and then a local advertising program.
I'm just thinking as an example, and I keep thinking McDonald's just because I'm not trying to pick on them or anything, but
they're just so well known.
Yeah, so well known, sure. But I mean, in one respect, I can see that works pretty well, because if you're just owning one McDonald's and it might cost $1,000 for the national advertising, but let's say you're on Super Bowl Sunday, and they've got some special going on that McDonald's wants to let you know about. You couldn't buy that for $1,000.
Well, when you talk about advertising and franchising, typically the franchise agreement has detailed provisions that it takes a lot of time to understand, but a lot of the control may rest with the franchisors. Occasionally there are systems where they have a franchisee advisory committee, or the franchisees actually have control over some of the advertising. Franchisors always reserve a right to control the final product because it's their trademark. So there are varying different kinds. You can get in some very interesting problems in advertising for franchises because of these, what I call the mega meal issue, where the franchisor will say, we're going to sell you a mega meal for $1. And they run this national advertising, and the franchisee has to make and sell these. And if it costs them $2 to sell the mega meal at $1, and they say, well, we're not participating, customers can get upset, and it could harm the franchisee. But if they go ahead and sell the mega meal for $1, they might be losing money or at least not making money.
Well, it's like I got a coupon for a nationally recognized coffee house, and when I went into a mall that had the coffee house, they specifically said, I'm sorry, you can't use that coupon here. He said, basically the way you do is look at, if you can see it from the freeway, you can use it. But if it's internal, like a mall, then they...
Oh, that's interesting.
Read the fine print.
So going the franchise route's obviously a double-edged sword, and I'm assuming that you've got clients who've been fabulously successful in their franchises and probably some not so much. How do you help them make that decision, or are you able to advise your clients as to which direction they may want to consider or reconsider when they come to you?
Well, part of the exploration needs to be done by the client, because there are thousands of franchises out there. There is a disclosure item in the franchise disclosure document. We call it item 19, that's the number of it, that deals with financial performance representations. And because there's been a lot of abuse of people misrepresenting these things, which might also be called earnings claims, they're required to be put forth in writing in the document, and or the franchisor is not supposed to make them. Now, sometimes they do it on the side, which is illegal, and sometimes, unfortunately, misrepresentations are made. Another problem is that the franchisee needs to go to existing franchisees to find out, are they making money? And sometimes people don't want to divulge what their personal situation is. But that's, I always tell clients, are you buying this to make money, or is it just a hobby?
Is there any kind of list or anything that somebody can turn to see like what franchises have been successful for people?
Yeah, like like the dog psychologist one in Barstow.
Yeah, really? There's one. But you know, it's something like, you know, there's ratings agencies for stocks that say, you know, this company is a good investment and these aren't. Is there anything like that for franchises?
First of all, there are pet industry franchises, a lot of dog grooming and a lot of dog
psychologist.
I haven't heard of dog psychologist.
Dog acupuncture.
As far as ratings, the Entrepreneur magazine puts out ratings, but I'd be a little careful about and really look up the individual franchise, look at the offering circular, because Entrepreneur magazine may be listing the number of units that open. They may not be looking at whether the units are really profitable.
Well, it also depends. I mean, location. That's
and is there another one right nearby?
Yeah, or just is it in a good area for that demographic?
Right.
Yeah, that's
I've heard about a national sandwich chain, which I won't mention, where a franchisee told me that company made more money basically taking over failed franchises and operating them as corporate franchises than they did from the actual franchise model itself, which I thought that was really interesting.
Well, typically in these fast food franchises, you're talking 6 figures and sometimes multiple 6 figures to build the location out. And if a franchisee fails, the build-out's already there, and it's worth a substantial amount.
That's the franchise model. It's
And
set of failed ones.
And sometimes those buildings are so specific. You know what it is just by looking at the building. You can't use anything else.
We call this churning, which is borrowing a term from the securities industry, where sometimes franchises are sold multiple times and they fail, and then they're sold again and again. So there are some problems like that in the industry.
All right, we're going to thank you very much, Peter. We'll see if we have some more time for you in the next segments, but we've been speaking with Peter Lagarias, who's an expert in franchising. And before we forget, going to the commercial break, how do people get a hold of you if they're interested in franchise law?
They can contact us. We're located in San Rafael. The firm's called Lagarias and Bolter, and we have a website under the same name. And they can look us up and call us on the old-fashioned way. Do you want that number?
Sure.
That's 415-460-0100 up here in San Rafael,
Okay, and if people go to dar.fm and record the show, they'll also be able to hear it, and also go on our website, bestofinvesting.com. Here is the second trivia question, and when we come back, we are going to give the answer to the special trivia question. All right, what is the name of the Olympic sport similar to shuffleboard where a stone is rolled on ice and players sweep in front of it? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3 days, 2 nights stay at the Lighthouse Resort. You guys are laughing because I know it's your favorite sport. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. You guys are a crack about it. I wish you guys could see this. You have to go on YouTube to watch what these guys are doing. Okay, what is the name of the Olympic sport similar to shuffleboard where a stone is rolled on ice and players sweep in front of it? Call 888-912-1190. We're having too much fun here. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and phone number, and we will be right back.